Big up to everyone. You know how it goes. It's this Monday, guys, Tuesday, guys, and it's one day where firstly, I couldn't do the morning show, couldn't do any much shows yesterday either, guys. Wasn't feeling so good under the weather, but I have to come out and say some of my opinions because I feel like agendas must agend. Right now, it's been difficult, and as a United fan, I know a lot of people are furious, upset by the performances of Manchester United. And yes, while I agree, you are rightfully upset, with the performances because it's by no means at the level of a Manchester United performance based on standards, based on our history, based on who we were, based on what we built over the years of this club, you know? But at this current moment, guys, are we moving mad? Are we just being too prideful? Is it that we're not taking into account that, this has been a shit show from before even Eric Ten Hag got here? And I'm not saying Eric Ten Hag is that manager to take us into the future, but I'm saying, are we in any shape or form to bring in a new manager to deal with the rubbish that we already have going on? I mean, we still have players from Van Gaal era, from Jose Mourinho's era, from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's era. Maybe we should consider the focus on getting rid of those players, getting them out of the club, and getting a fresh crop of players before we bring in a new manager to deal with the nonsense that other managers have been dealing with over and over and over for the last few years. And guys, remember, even if I'm Ten Hag in, I'm not by any means saying that he is the right guy to take us into the future. I'm just saying that, bruh, could we even anticipate the fall off, what it could be if we do get rid of him and bring in another manager to deal with not only the players who were here since Oli, since Jose, since Van Gaal, but the players who came in under Ten Hag? And yeah, even though he might be an expansive style player, he might even be that coach that has all these plans of pressing and all those things. But what if he doesn't like most of these players? What happens then? These are the questions I like to ask fans. And I can't do this show without you guys. And I can't even do it if you guys don't give me your opinions. Because at the end of the day, everyone's opinions matter. And might as well, even if we disagree and we have different opinions, we all want Manchester United to win. So the funny bit is where's the disarray? Where's the meltdown? We won 4-2 against Newport County. Okay, people could say we struggled. I wouldn't say we struggled when we won by two clear goals. Maybe we didn't have great moments in the game, but has Manchester United performed amazingly? It's been a rough go trying to implement this new system, getting players to learn their roles and know especially what is expected of them. And until they learn the basics of the system and get it down, how can they really express themselves to be the players they are? And while we are doing all of this, we are backing players who have not pulled up any trees over a manager. And for what reason? Oh, because we know better. But we're not the coach. We're just fans. The information that we get is hearsay 90% of the time. Rumors from the media, from a friend who probably knows a friend, or from a friend who's probably in contact. You know what I mean? And everyone's like, oh, in hindsight, I have a better idea, I have a genius idea. Why doesn't Ten Hag think of this? Well, it's in hindsight. Would you have thought of that in the moment? Like, we've seen the issues with players. Like, look at Amad Diallo, the latest victim of following a fashion, in my honest opinion. I won't blame him too much because he's a youngster, but at the same time, he's seen the mistakes of the likes of Jadon Sancho. He's seeing the mistakes of Marcus Rashford, and what is he doing? The same thing. The same thing. How are we even gonna? Are we even gonna back a youngster that's not even keeping his head down and working hard? You know, by all means, it's disappointing, guys. Because if anyone is looking at a power performance or looking just for the future of Manchester United, it's not looking that good. And I'm not saying it's not looking good because of the manager, but it's not looking good because The youngsters don't have the youngsters are not keeping their head down. They're not working hard. Some of them think that they're owed a starting position because of their talent. But when they get minutes, what have they done? Nothing. Some of them. But yet still we argue with a manager who's not playing them because they really haven't done anything. Yet we're mad. Can we name another manager in the Premier League in the last 3 seasons that has debuted more younger players in his squad and younger players have played more games than Eric Ten Hag? I'm betting you can't. I'm 100% sure. Kobe Manu debuted, made himself undeniable to the team. That's why he starts week in, week out. When Ahmad does that, then I'm going to question the manager starting Anthony, in my opinion. I think before Ahmad makes himself undeniable, we should not be helping him get his head big like a balloon. Because then you get stupid stuff like him liking a tweet that's undermining the manager and then having to unlike it. After a lot of people saw him like it and it's posted on social media, he liked the tweet. It's insane. And then what we're going to do? Make excuses and say because he feels this way, he should be acting like this? That's unprofessional. That's average, in my opinion. He should be bigger than that and better than that, in my opinion. And the same goes for Jadon Sancho. Like, he's off at Dortmund having the time of his life. Man, he never looked so happy at Manchester United. People say it's because Ten Hag are favorites, but yo, Jadon Sancho was getting ostracized since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was at the club. So are we saying Ole Gunnar had favorites? Or are we going to examine the fact that maybe Manchester United board has favorites among the players? I feel like some people are misunderstanding what it means and who is really in control of this club. We're talking about a player who sacked 3 managers before, still inconsistent as ever, still having purple patches, still unable to lead a team forward, right? Without making excuses for him not feeling good or him not feeling well or looking like he doesn't even want to be on the field. But no, Ten Hag has a favorite. Well, I mean, Oli probably had favorites as well. Maybe Jose Mourinho had favorites as well. What happened to Jose and Oli? They got fired, bro. Marcus Rashford is still here. So when I argue with people over who Jadon Sancho was referring to, I'm clearly sure it's not the manager. Because we're talking about a manager who defended Jadon Sancho, gave him 3 months off, right, to go get himself right, hired a team to work with him, and defended him to the media every single chance because he had no choice. And he defended him. He never once outed Jadon Sancho. And the one sentence he says, well, he did not train well. The whole world is having a meltdown. Oh, Jadon Sancho was attacked. He was being scapegoated. By whom? All the leaks in the media. Are you saying Ten Hag is leaking all this information to the press? Or is it the same Glazer spin PR that we are used to over the years before he got to the club? I'm asking you this question, guys, because while I might agree that Ten Hag has not proven he's the guy to take us forward into the future, I disagree when we blame him unnecessarily for things that is beyond his control. When Jadon Sancho said he was scapegoated, I know what he meant. And if you know, guys. Everyone should know what he meant. He's talking about the board and the club itself, the back room. He's not talking about the manager. I'm pretty sure everyone here is a Manchester United fan for over a decade, have been watching this club and observing games and players. And we all know who has power in that dressing room. And that power was before Ten Hag. Because let's be real, the manager who and the club, we bought Jadon Sancho £77 million. And we did not start him. But it's Ten Hag's fault that he's not getting game time. 85 games, 23 GA over 3 seasons. Has he pulled up any trees? But it's Ten Hag's fault for defending him for 3 months, sending him away, and giving him a team to train with him and get him back to peak fitness. Also, he can just go to Dortmund and play his best and be happy. Guys, at some point, we need to understand that football is not linear. And sometimes games are going to be difficult. It's going to be a tough ride, guys. Sometimes, and everyone, each and everyone is criticizing Eric Ten Hag because of his decisions, because he ousted Sancho by saying one small sentence. Managers have said worse, mind you. Lots of managers, even this season. They've called men fat. They've called players lazy. Ten Hag didn't do any of those things by what he said to Jadon Sancho. It's crazy. It's weird how the media agends everything. Look, it's the transfer window. Man United have been linked with over 25 players already this winter window. But then we get linked with Brian Bobby, and everyone's like, Ten Hag's talent ID is off the rockers. But Brian Bobby clearly states to the media that there was no link. I was never called or contacted about a move. Where's these links coming from? And this is where I say agendas must agend. I'm pretty sure the system needs to get better, and in the next 6 months, we need to see change in Manchester United. But at the same time, does one season mean we sack a manager if his previous season was 10 times better, in my opinion? I mean, at the end of the day, I'm looking at it from the perspective that 10 players were supposed to exit this club, 10 starters possibly, before Eric Ten Hag came. Under Ralph Ragnick, we all agreed as fans that this is what's necessary to make us better. Now he's here. After he gets top three, right? He plays in 2 cup finals, winning a domestic cup in his first season. All of a sudden, everyone is like, these players can be better, blah blah blah. Let's go. We're gonna compete for the league next season. Giddy. No one's feet is on the ground. This season, the system changed. Arguably, as fans, we probably would have appreciated him changing the system last year. But for whatever reasons unknown to us, maybe the club and the board and the discussion for last season had a different agenda, a different goal in mind. Maybe he was unable to employ or change the system and do his tactics differently last season because of what the circumstances were. And now this season, maybe he was given the green light to implement his style, his system. And now we're like, he's stubborn. I mean, most of the top managers are stubborn people. I've never seen Pep change his system for some teams when they change their formation in the second half. I've never seen Klopp change things regularly, either. Arteta doesn't change things regularly. I mean, there are going to be some times when tactical changes are made, but it doesn't happen in every single game or every single time another team's manager makes a tactical change. And this, I think, is lost in some instances in translation because as long as he doesn't make a tactical change in every single game, he's a shit coach. Which is weird to me because now it's almost as though he's supposed to be in the player's head, and it's like players have minds of their own. And if you tell the players to do X, Y, and Z and they do A, B, and C, I mean, the only thing you can do is bring them off the field. But then when there are certain players who we know are poster boys of the club who probably and most certainly have game time assurances penned into their contracts, how is he able to change things? When these guys maybe are scheduled to play 25 games a season based off of their contract. It's beyond the manager's control. Some people say to me, Eric Ten Hag wanted Mason Mount. He went to his house. Well, maybe the club sent him there to do the meeting or to interact with Mason Mount. Maybe the club told him, listen, this is the guy who we're signing. And we have seen under Oli and other coaches like Jose Mourinho that the club sometimes forces players on managers. I'm pretty sure Eric Ten Hag could not influence the club after a first season in giving a player a number 7. Pretty sure. And I might be one-sided with that opinion, but at the same time, I don't see it, guys. I really don't see it. I don't even see United finishing lower than sixth, in my honest opinion. People might argue and say 10th, might say 8th, might say all sorts of things. But they're forgetting the first 6 months of the season, we were woeful. And our lowest position till December was sixth. You know what I mean? And that's sixth being 6 points off top four. Now we're eighth, 9 points off top four, and it could change. People act like all the top four teams are guaranteed to win every single game until the end of the season, which is not possible. I know I might sound pro Ten Hag, but I'm really just pro Manchester United. And I feel like the best course of action now that we finally got a CEO and we're finally starting to implement a structure is to remain status quo with what we have. No transfers in January. Go through the rest of the 6 months. Let's see what these players have, who we really need to get rid of, right? And it's honestly my honest opinion that we form the structure first. We get rid of players in the summer. We bring in new players that fit the profile because people want to know what direction and what style of play. Well, the club clearly chose to play expansive, attacking, possession-based football. So if the structure around is formed based on that and players are brought in based on that profile, then with Eric Ten Hag, give him the last season to stabilize the ship. If he does not pull up trees, then maybe we could talk about him getting sacked. But don't tell me we're going to build a structure, right? And then deviate to another rebuild and reset again when we just reset last year. We just started this rebuild 2022-23 season, which finished literally 7 months ago. That's when this rebuild started. And you know what? A lot of people are arguing for different reasons, but unless you see exit, is it really a rebuild? Has the manager really been backed when there are no exits, when no players have been sold? Has the manager really been backed? Now, we can all agree he needs to do better, make some better decisions when it comes to substitutions. We all don't want to see McTominay starting. But at the same time, there's not much left. There's some young players that are overhyped, in my opinion, like Hannibal Mejbri. I think he deserves to be sold. It's one of those things where, yeah, I think he's okay, but he's not good enough. Dan Gore is great, but he needs to get game time. And I think the only way is for him to go out on loan. We have Kobe Mainu expressing himself, making himself undeniable. I think soon we might have a Willie Kwambala doing the same thing in the center back area. You know what I mean? Garnacho has been okay, and he's young. He will learn. He should get better. We have the youngest attacking front three in the Premier League, guys. The youngest attack in the Premier League is what Manchester United has. So if anybody wants to know what about the problems is, it's basically that. There's not much experience. And you know what, guys? I think it might sound like my standards are lower, but I don't think so. I think it's just practical and realistic to have patience right now. Wait for the structure to be formed. Wait for player exits. Let's see a mass exodus of players that shock us. Whether it be Bruno, Rashford, Luke Shaw, or if all three are leaving in the summer. Let's change the guard. And then let's let the manager one last season try his best. And if it's not good enough, which I highly doubt it won't be, then we can sack him and get someone else. But a lot of people are talking about managers like Diego Simeone, who's never really won anything much. You know what I mean? And in the sense that he's come to Atletico Madrid, it took him 7 years before he was even able to finish top four. 7. And he doesn't really play that attractive style of football. He plays on the counter. That's what he does. Even though he plays out from the back, he plays on the counter. A bullish type of football that I don't think anyone's going to enjoy at Manchester United, to be honest. Mitchell is pretty good, but it's really his first season that he's been having success in winning lots of games consistently in the top flight of La Liga football. So maybe let's let him have a little bit more experience, or are fans willing to allow him to learn on the job at Manchester United? I mean, a lot of fans say Eric Ten Hag is learning on the job at Manchester United, but Eric Ten Hag has won the Dutch league many times. He's competed many times in the Champions League. And everyone says it's Ajax, but look at where Ajax were for the last season without Eric Ten Hag. I mean, they're finding their wings this season because they're starting to move up the table, but last season they were abysmal. They're not even in Champions League. And that's shocking. But I guess Eric Ten Hag was just an okay coach. You know what, guys? Agendas must agend. I'm pretty sure lots of fans might be like me and would like to see Marcus Rashford sold, as well as Luke Shaw, and maybe brought in some younger players or give the youth a chance. While some players might not be like me and they might want other players sold and want to keep it and build around Marcus Rashford and Luke Shaw. But, some fans might be like me and want to see Ten Hag stay with a structure built around him and see what he's capable of then. And some fans say, you know what? Get rid right now. Build the structure, bring in a new manager. And while both points can have some merit to them both, at the end of the day, like I say, agendas must agend. Guys, it's been your boy Mark, an MUFC fan, and I'm just, this was just a few minutes me discussing the different takes and the different agendas right now. Is it impatience of the fan base, or is it too much pride? Maybe the fan base needs a humbling, but at the same time, we are Man United. We shouldn't be in a situation like this. But with the bad running of the club over the last decade, it's hard not to see why we are in this position right now, and why all the blame is falling on a manager who doesn't even have the help of people around him in the right, most powerful positions that actually want to win like he does. And he has a squad that has a lot of players in it that probably don't even care about winning as well. But then he's going to get all the blame because he's the manager. Life is hard sometimes, but it's certainly a real one. Guys, enjoy the rest of your day. Hope you are well. And don't forget to leave a comment, leave your criticisms, and don't forget to smash those likes and subscribe. It's been your boy, Mark, an MUFC fan, and this has been the Daily Update, Man United News, guys.